it there from that look at the Disney Gallery Mandalorian Season 2. We'll go to the news. Not a lot, a little bit of a quiet week. We are not surprised by that. It's the holidays. But this morning, when we recorded, we released the episode a day later, we had the High Republic live stream, StarWars.com and Star Wars YouTube channel, hosted by Kristen Baver. We had a collection of authors, Kevin Scott, Claudia Gray, Justina Ireland, Charles Soule, Daniel Jose Older, and Michael Siglain of the publishing wing there. And an intro from Kathleen Kennedy talking about the publishing initiative. And we went into about an hour discussion on the High Republic. Joseph and I will be looking at Light of the Jedi very soon. We've got that book in our hands and we're reading it and enjoying it as well. We'll talk about that in a second. But overall thoughts, did you get a chance to sit down with this one here, Joseph?
I did not actually watch the live stream. I apologize. There were some time management issues.
There's a lot going on in life, and I had to choose between this, which is ForceCenter work, and having a nice hearty breakfast, and I chose this. I guess I'm a hero. I'm a hero, everybody. I didn't have my egg. So here's some stuff we'll just highlight here kind of quickly here. A lot of it was really rolling this out to people who are not familiar with it, because I thought a lot of it was not repeated information, one-for-one repeats, but just, if you've been following along, if you're doing a Star Wars podcast or you go to StarWars.com every day, we are familiar with a lot of the stuff they talked about today, characters and designs and everything there, and the overall discussion. But there's some great stuff to pull out of it here. I did want to talk about Charles Soule, talked about at the beginning. They did this writers retreat up the Skywalker Ranch, some story group people there, some Disney and Lucasfilm execs. But the authors were there, just round tabling what they think this could be. And Charles Soule went to the idea of what was impressive about Star Wars. And Claudia Gray said, yeah, cool, got that. I've been writing Star Wars for a bit. I want to look at what I love about other epic sagas. Those are two big starting points for this era of storytelling. Joseph, what did you take from that?
Yeah, I think both of those perspectives are really, really great and really, really important. That's a thing that they have been talking a lot about on Mandalorian, about how Favreau wants to be inspired by the things that inspired Lucas. So I think it's two really great ways to look at it. Without any spoilers, reading Charles Soule's Light of the Jedi, I can feel that in my very bones. That question of what was impressive about Star Wars. Not going to say any spoilers, but in particular, that novel is taking ideas about government and ideas about Jedi that are in Star Wars and saying, let's see more of that iceberg. That one thing that was kind of in the corner was cool. Let's go all the way with that. So I'm really enjoying that. And I think Claudia Gray is also got such a great perspective. I was talking on the podcast a little while back. There's a Netflix show, very short show called Myths and Monsters. It's one season, 6 episodes, but a pretty great overview on just some big picture myths, why we tell them, how we approach them, how they're different in different cultures, how they change over time. And I remember watching that and just getting so excited because that's one of the parts of Star Wars, and we should always re-examine that. Because that is so foundational to the part of Star Wars that is, why do we tell these stories? Why do they matter? And it's really cool to hear that Claudia Gray is kind of going on that journey.
Yeah, because you're building this all up from the ground level, even though it's Star Wars. And so Charles Soule's use of the word impressive was, I really highlighted that. If that could be a lot of things, and you're talking about two big, discussion points, government and the Jedi, and clearly we're getting that. We're going to touch upon that in a second. But also, I again, no spoilers, a little tease, but the first third of this book is this kind of big event, this great disaster, and it is so cinematic and scope and tension and what's at stake and just everything there, that's always been what I've kind of looked at as Star Wars, and what's impressive about Star Wars is it just, you're not just pulled in the world, but you're pulled into the fight. You're pulled into the causes. You're pulled into what you might lose. And I thought I heard that. And I was like, that kind of, I was impressed with the first third of his book and his book overall. But I was like, that just kind of connects to me. And then as it flows into the other things that you mentioned there that we're going to talk about. And Claudia Gray, yeah, that just makes sense too. Of Star Wars is so based on and other things in the sense of what influences the storytelling that makes some sense there. I forget who said it. I'm sorry, I was sipping coffee. I just wrote down the quote, not who said it. I think it was Charles Soule or maybe Kevin Scott. But this era finds the Jedi not hidden away. The Jedi are out with the people, and that makes them part of the people. And they kind of referenced a little bit of Phantom Menace era, prequel era of the Jedi, not locked away in their towers. Clearly, they're out and about, but just a little bit of a change. And this is 200 years earlier. That makes some sense. And this is an era of still of exploration, of growth, and expansion, and building blocks for what's to come. So I was very curious what your reaction to that description of the Jedi during this time period.
Yeah, I love that because I think I think in retrospect a lot of Charles Soule and Kevin Scott and Claudia Gray's work in particular, because they were already writing about Jedi and Force stuff, are going to be looked back as like these are the prequels to the concepts of parts of the High Republic. I know they're not the only people creating it, but they were already writing Jedi stuff. And in particular, Claudia Gray has that passage in Master and Apprentice where Qui-Gon is kind of openly wondering about this, of maybe Jedi should not be raised in a beautiful temple in a, in the heart of the core on this, urban city planet. Maybe they should be out and about with the people of the galaxy, or even outside of the fancier parts of Coruscant, so they can understand what kind of day-to-day people are going through. And I think that's a really neat and interesting idea. And so far, again, without spoilers, what's been great about Light of the Jedi is it is not hand-wavy. It is not an opening crawl about the government is good and so are the Jedi, and now they have some adventures. There is an effort to show specifically what choices make a difference, and this is one of them.
Yeah, you're so right. That might have been subconsciously one of the things I guess I'll say, worried about going in the High Republic. Of all right, the Jedi are running around doing good things. The government's great, and we got some pirates over there causing problems. It's already so much more, especially when you talk about the leadership decisions and decisions of the government, both good and bad. There's a lot at play there. But this particular, I think. This is off my notes here, but I think there's definitely a Jedi coming in the High Republic. We haven't met him yet. That is a little privileged in a sense, from Coruscant, raised on Coruscant, trained on Coruscant, a Jedi on Coruscant, and to have to go out in the galaxy and see what's actually out there, it will be something that seems to be that will affect them. And that's in the back of my mind of one of the descriptions when we met some of the characters. And I think Claudia Gray's writing that character, right? Do you remember
I think
that?
so. Yeah, I believe so.
So that all tracks. That's all there. And that and look, it's not a condemnation of one way or the other. It's just an examination of it and what could be better, and how can you make it all work the right way. And already, here's our phrase for the day: is try not to spoil. Already, you see just the different perspectives from the Jedi and their backgrounds and what they know and how they feel and interact with the Force, how that fuels some of their decisions, good and bad, and heroic decisions too. And I really, I don't know, that's going to be fascinating. The philosophy of the Jedi is going to be at play a lot in this series, and that was interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it.
Yeah. You've been mentioning the government stuff. We got Chancellor Lena So, who's got her, gosh, I already forget the names. I haven't done my full Light of the Jedi notes, but she's got these two cool guard cats. They're giant, that have like 4 sets of eyes. And she's a really interesting character already, but they talked about this in the press conference or the event today. Just this idea at the center of the Republic is a beautiful idea. Is at the center of the Republic. Let me say it right. And that is this era of the galaxy is definitely expanding, but it's also, I think, trying to build up. And you got the great works and this concept. It's this almost political campaign speech. You can tell she probably won elections on, but it's real to her. This "We are all the Republic," and that pops up a lot. And you mentioned the government stuff and the choices, Joseph, and what even the Starlight Beacon itself, this space station, means, good and bad, to people. You got to be excited about that and glad that they're addressing it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And just from Charles Soule's book, we'll get into all the details when we do our review. It is really clear that the whole story group for this, the whole High Republic creators, sat down and discussed, okay, well, if this is a golden time, what does that really mean what kind of leader would be there? What kind of mistakes that we've seen in the prequels would they be trying to avoid? How would they be trying to avoid them? What would their anxieties be? What would be the risks of what they're trying to do? So it all comes across as really genuine and realistic so far. And I think it all relates back to this idea of this chancellor who is really trying to sell the galaxy on a really Jedi Force perspective of we are all connected and let's help each other.
Yeah, and a lot was mentioned, and I know we discussed it before, but Camelot, the idea of Camelot, both Arthurian legend, but also what was kind of referred to as JFK and his cabinet and his presidency in the early 60s. And Charles Soule did touch upon it in the conference of like, that was a great time, not for everybody. And they're going to examine that as well. But it's going to lead to some interesting storytelling as well, because Star Wars and politics go together. I've always been excited by those conversations. Some other news and notes here. There was a lot of great stuff. Again, this one for an hour. Every author got a chance to talk about favorite characters. Daniel Jose Older's got a character coming called Buckets of Blood. That is actually based on Daniel Jose Older was a paramedic for a long time, and there used to be someone he worked with who would get on the radio and take a call for service and be like, "You tell him Buckets of Blood is coming." And that was his name. Like he referred to him. So he's got that character coming in one of the comics. We know a lot about one of the villains, and actually we got a correct pronunciation. Marchion Ro is the Eye of the Nile. Already an interesting character from what we've read. They talked about him. This was interesting, Joseph. The Drengar, the Drengar. This is the plant, the sentient plant life enemy that is coming in this era as well. A little dark side influence. Going on there. What do you think about that? We haven't talked about light and dark too much in this era, but it's there.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. They had that trailer as well, right? And in that trailer ended with they're going to fight all these foes, and there'll be a battle for control of the Force itself. And that, I think, was really interesting to me, that it made it sound like, oh, yeah, there's going to be something that is on this actual sort of a cosmic level of the actual identity of the Force. So I'm very excited. We talked a lot before about the Drengar. I'm so excited to see how they play out. They're that perfect mix of the pulp, the adventure serial of, they're plant monsters. They're swamp things.
Yeah, they're 1950s alien monsters. Yeah.
Right. They're Day of the Triffids. That's great. That's absolutely great. But they have such deep potential for meaning in Star Wars. The constant Star Wars push and pull between what is it to be flowing and organic versus what is it to be, mechanical and perfect. And that relationship is going to be really interesting.
Already a little more excited for them than I was before. Not that I didn't enjoy the idea of killer plants roaming around the galaxy there, but dark side influence doesn't mean the plants are Sith, but just like the galaxy, the Force, what it is, and getting into those areas, I'm already intrigued. So that was one of my favorite little parts. Some kind of housekeeping news and notes here. Michael Siglin was asked about the reading order. He did say, hey, release order is probably the best way if you want, but really this is designed, even though things are so connected. This is a very connected era of storytelling. It's definitely designed you could just pick up a comic if that's all you want to read. You can read just the YA novels if that's what you want to read, or the Del Rey novels. You'll be able to experience the era a lot by just focusing on just certain parts of it if you want, or you can read it all. And there'll be a lot, Joseph, the Star Wars Insider. Remember that magazine? It's still going. I used to run to Barnes & Noble in the 90s and get it. Oh, what a different era. They will have serialized fiction from this era in issues of Star Wars Insider, called Stories of Starlight, and some other ones that will be prequel-ish or moments after the book finish, those kind of stories. So I ask you these two these points I just brought up, Joseph, the release order and then serialized fiction in Star Wars Insider. That's a lot. Are you okay with all this?
Yeah, no, I'm trying to. I have this desire to try to keep up with it all, and I don't know if I'll be able to. But it is just this kind of fun moment to let's all start fresh, and I want to try to keep up, but I am also a little bit concerned that I won't be. And honestly, the Star Wars Insider was like, oh, man,
yeah,
another. they're eventually going to bundle these into some book I can buy, right? All these stories, but so we'll
I,
see. We'll see. It's a lot, and I understand why it's a lot because it's exciting, and I think it is also it's really great to hear that there's an effort to make it accessible. I think accessibility is a huge part of this. Again, no spoilers. I think Light of the Jedi is totally accessible if you've never Star Warsed before. Um,
Mhm.
and I think that's great to say. Like, if you just want to read a story in the back of a magazine, if you just want to read the YA books, I think that's great.
Yeah, I think they had to be aware of that. And it seems like they're delivering on that. And yeah, I've been really enjoying Light of the Jedi. But my comic book guy, the guy who runs the shop I go to, and I haven't stepped foot in the shop since January, I think. But he's been mailing my comics, and I'm like, do I go digital? What do I do? I'm still trying to support this shop. And he's like, hey, I got a stack here. I can mail it out to you. I'll invoice you. We got that new High Republic series coming. And I had a moment where I went, oh, that's right. Oh boy. But then today, coming out of this event, I got excited. Like you said, Joseph, we are here, new, time to start fresh. And you can just kind of work your way through it. And I like that.
Yeah.
Final
Yeah.
one here. Final one, little housekeeping thing. We got 3 phases of this publishing initiative that's going for a few years. We knew that. They're calling the 3 phases: Light of the Jedi, which we're in right now, Quest of the Jedi, and Trials of the Jedi. That sounds wonderfully ominous. Any thoughts on those phases? Everyone loves phases, Joseph.
I do love phases. I'm more excited than I thought for phases. That sounds like just a great classic 3-act structure. And sometimes I get up in the morning and optimism, light, and then I'm trying to get something done, quest, and then by the end of the day, I have encountered trials. So I think it's very relatable, very good. And honestly, just hearing the phases, I think there's a part of me. This is so weird to say after I just said all the nice things about this fresh, brand new journey. There's a part of me that feels like I'd really be okay if this was a kind of set story,
Mm.
that it wasn't just we're setting a new era and now we're just going to tell endless stories. But it was a little bit more like other Star Wars has been, where this main story in this era is going to be told with a beginning, a middle, and an end. And then there'll always be room to jump back in and tell stories set in that era or tell stories about characters in that era. But the story itself, much like we can still tell stories set in and around the original trilogy, but that story it begins, it escalates, and it ends. I would be kind of happy if the High Republic was like a 5-year mission, honestly.
I I'm there with you on it. I'd love a finish line. Doesn't mean you can't revisit it down the line. Just like give me another Skywalker saga essay somewhere. I don't care. But yeah, I'm with you too. A finish, some sort of finish line, a light at the end of the tunnel, would work for me. But we'll see. Right now, a lot of High Republic era coming. The books are out. The comics coming out this week. I know getting things shipped can be a little bit of a challenge right now, understandably. So have patience. The stories will emerge, and Joseph and I will dive into Light of the Jedi right quick here on ForceCenter. Final quick new news moment here. Patty Jenkins gave very small Rogue Squadron updates, as did Chris Pine. We'll work that story next. Talking about Wonder Woman 84 is out. She's doing a lot of press for it, as was Chris Pine. So she said the treatment for Rogue Squadron is already done. She's working on a lot. Obviously, more Wonder Woman, Cleopatra, a lot of things going on. She thankfully is a director that is hot. Regardless of any opinions of Wonder Woman 84, we're not having that discussion here. In fact, I haven't had a chance to see it yet. All right. She is doing some great stuff. So she got the treatment done. She mentioned that there's a high-profile male screenwriter. That might not be a direct quote, but what a lot of the news articles are describing. A high-profile male screenwriter is writing the script, but Patty doesn't want to reveal who it is. She wants his own announcement to have its day in the sun, and that's still forthcoming there. And the final one here, Chris Pine has heard the story. Chris Pine has heard the story, and he likes it. He likes it. So, any thoughts on all that stuff? The Rogue Squadron kind of updates.
The kind of updates. I totally understand that it is part of the press and coverage game. If you've got somebody like Chris Pine, you're interviewing him for Wonder Woman 84, like, yeah, you know anything about Rogue Squadron? You're going to be in it? Do you like it? And of course, he's just like, no, I heard the story. I didn't read the treatment. I heard the story. And it was great. That all makes sense to me. But I love the way it can get phrased in articles. Like Chris Pine was like, press, please come to my home at noon on Tuesday. I'm going to stand on my front steps and I shall give an announcement. Like, it's a casual opinion offered during another interview, and I'm happy for it. But, Chris Pine didn't finally reveal anything,
Yeah. I had a weird moment. A few Comic Cons ago, we were at a press breakfast for The Walking Dead, and me and some of the Schmoes gang were sitting at a table with I forget his name, David, who plays the governor with the eye patch, the governor on.
Oh, yeah. I'm spacing his name as well, but yes.
Yeah.
He's also been on Doctor Who.
Yes, indeed. And charming guy, UK-based guy. And this was prior to Force Awakens. And, there's some UK connections to Star Wars productions all the time. And some of the people I was at the table with, Schmoes people were whispering to me, like, we got to see if we can get some Star Wars news out of him. I'm like, the guy's having an omelet, man. Like, what am I going to ask him? And we tried. We didn't get anything out of him. He was savvy. We didn't get anything out of it. So it is the game. It is the game indeed. Big question of when the Rogue Squadron movie takes place. Still unknown. Joseph, how are we going to survive not knowing the era?
I think we would just have to enjoy the mystery. I think so far, with the evidence that we have of, a new generation in a future era, that all sounds like post-sequel trilogy. And I think for me, I am going to spend my daydreaming about Rogue Squadron time thinking about what that means for the story. How much galaxy building are they going to do about what the state of the government is? Is the movie going to, get into the sort of the philosophy of, if there is a Rogue Squadron in a post-sequel era, that means some philosophical things of, is there a new threat? Are they in defense? Is this a small scale stake thing? Is the galaxy still in a little bit of turmoil because the government was entirely shattered? Even if this is 10 years after Rise of Skywalker, I'm going to spend my time thinking about some of those things. And I still think the most exciting thing to me about the idea that it is set after the sequels is this idea that there'd be a storied history and a reverence for what Rogue Squadron means. And this is a new generation trying to earn their wings and earn the mantle, of Derek Hobby Clivian.
Just because I want a character to look at the other character and be like, you know what you are? You're dangerous. You're dangerous like Zev Zaneska was.
Again, yeah, poking a little bit fun, but I do mean that of the weight, especially that people who played those video games a lot, like I did, or particularly who grew up with the books. The idea that what that group of people did was meaningful. How can a new generation live up to it? That's powerful, interesting stuff.
Yeah, and again, glad I'm not writing a Star Wars movie. I'm not the screenwriter. I did this. You and I try to do a little bit of digging, look at some IMDb pages. We definitely do not know this information, who this writer is. We're still open. There's no pattern. Sometimes you look for the patterns in the directors' careers or who they worked with a lot. Nothing that we see emerging. So it's going to be a fun announcement when it comes.
Yeah, exactly. And I think my only thought on the writer right now is, I'm really hoping for somebody with a great track record, a great perspective, all those things, a great working relationship with Patty Jenkins. But I know not all Star Wars fans feel this way, but I actually do have a lot of faith in the team at Lucasfilm, everything from Kathleen Kennedy to the story group to Dave Filoni, that they do really, really keep an eye on the big ideas of Star Wars and the core philosophy, and try new things while protecting the old and protecting what really, really matters about the heart of Star Wars. And I have faith that will happen with this new movie.
I do as well. Let's look at our Star Wars news. We've got your questions coming up. Before we do that, we have a ForceCenter recommends an audiobook we think you should try out on us. And Joseph, this is the one this week that is definitely the one you want to get right now.
Yeah, this one seems pretty obvious. Easiest pick ever. It is Light of the Jedi by Charles Sewell. Ignite your blade so you can fully be lit while you listen to this great, great book.
Absolutely. Do that by downloading your free audiobook today at audibletrial.com/ForceCenter. Again, that's audibletrial.com/ForceCenter for your free audiobook. Your questions are on the way here on ForceCenter.